Mech pilots, online. BattleTech manuals, online. Long-term memory, offline. All systems bungled. Initiating BungleTech podcast.
In our 25th episode of BungleTech, Michael and I are joined by BigRed as we discuss our creator proclamations. Also, we break away from our standard format and focus intently on our primary topic. Right, Michael?
Absolutely. It's a special December episode.
Huzzah!
All about the warm fuzzies here.
Yes, snuggling up to a big red bear.
Yeah, it's just, it's a nice time to be thankful. We're wrapping up like 2 years of the podcast here. It's been a wild ride, and it's been a fun ride. We wanted to pause a little bit and spend some time thanking everyone for taking part in this.
Yes, everyone. Thank you for listening, for reviewing us, for spreading the BungleTech word, for just being such a welcoming and awesome community.
You are awesome, every single one of you, and we hope that you're having a fantastic holiday season. In particular, we wanted to thank our Patreon supporters. You really help support and keep us going. So for our indoctrinated Bonds people, Eric Dacus,
G,
Gus,
Hilux,
Rob Prescott, thank you so much for your support. And our dutiful technicians, Blunderdome,
Chris Cannon,
DarkTremere,
Dire Situation,
Klint,
Matthew Hopper,
Michael Shelley,
Ryan Fletcher,
Sandman.
and Seth WhiteFox.
Thanks so much for all of your support. And we can absolutely not forget about our fearless MechWarriors on the front line of the BungleTech wars, Ed Magilton,
Fiddler,
HeyZeus,
Lorian Sunrider,
Malathis,
Metal Ed,
and Phil Raider Roby. Thank you for fighting on the front lines and probably dying for our cause. And who can forget our most honorable of Loremasters, MagnumDanger.
and RetroLazer.
Thank you so much for your support.
Before we get into our episode, I just want to share that work has begun on the global campaign initiative because you all really wanted it. Current plan is to release the player package on February 27th, 2025, with the first scenario being released on the 27th of the next month. Get stoked, get hyped, get sensual. It is arriving soon.
All right, MechWarriors, cozy up in your rumble seat and grab a hot cup of Vikindu coffee, a tropical planet well known for being extremely friendly to the common coffee plant. In fact, an improbable 50% of all coffee in the core worlds, those 250 light years or less from Terra, originated from this world. That is, until the Jihad. Because after the withdrawal of Free World League reserves, local revolutionaries seized the opportunity to strike against the Andurian rulers. During a protracted civil war, Janae Spencer Lee established a provisional
Primary objective, podcast topic segment, initiating.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 25 of BungleTech, a BattleTech podcast. Today's an exciting day. Another exciting day, so many exciting days, because we are joined by the second coming BattleTech savior, BigRed. BigRed, welcome.
Have you been drinking?
I have some water here, man, and it is hitting me hard right now.
Yeah, the alcohol content of water is very high.
It is extremely high. Yeah, Canadian water, right? It gets you every time. And
when did we become Irish?
They don't want the pipes to freeze, so you gotta put some alcohol in there.
Don't you know you gotta put a little bit of alcohol in there, don't you?
And I'm also happy to be joined by, as you heard his radiant voice, my co-host, Michael. Thank you for being here, Michael, and reining the chaos in.
I don't feel like I rein it in. I feel like I contribute in just the right way.
So today we're here to discuss something I deem creator proclamations. I reached out to the BattleTech creator community, a ton of people, and I asked them a simple question, which turned out not to be very simple for most people to answer. And that's, imagine you leave the BattleTech community for some reason, in positive terms, and you're going to leave a 30-second blurb for the community. That's all you can leave behind to make the community a better place or instill your values in the community in some form. What do you do? So we got quite a few responses, and we have our own creator proclamations that we want to share, but we're going to get to that in a bit because first, we want to talk more about the BigRed. You want to talk about yourself too, right, Red?
I usually don't really like talking about myself, though I am sure that there are going to be people who disagree with that assessment.
Well, let's start with the most basic question. I mean, you are a pillar of the BattleTech creator community. And I think most people know about you and most people know what you do. But in the rare situation that some...
Very infamous. Very infamous.
Very famous, yes.
Infamous.
No, sorry.
What's
What's before the famous? You're cutting out.
Infamy. Infamy.
Famous. Okay, you stop saying that. It's sounding very arrogant.
Thanks.
So, in case people haven't heard about you, give us a little brief about you and what you contribute to the BattleTech community.
I contribute to the BattleTech community? Again, like, I don't know. Is that true? No. I mean, basically, I more or less run typically a daily show, though I haven't run for the last 2 days, where we just kind of talk general BattleTech and sometimes just general gaming and stuff like that. And yeah, outside of that, I basically make YouTube videos, usually about in-depth subjects at this point. I used to do like hundreds of videos that were very short, like 8 to 15 minutes long. And I've just kind of moved into doing more like long-form, detailed video essays discussing like mechs and the nations they're affiliated with, or events that they're affiliated with most strongly.
The natural growth for like YouTube explainers, they go from, very general to 2-hour epics deep diving on a specific mech in a particular year one section of space.
It's really weird how it happens, to be quite honest. Like, it was never intended to be that way. Like, when I started, I'm like, any video that's over 15 minutes long is a waste of time. And then it's like, cuts to, it's like, so you just finished your 5-hour video on the Taurian Concordat, giving an in-depth review of its entire history. I'm like, yeah. It was a waste of a lot of time, apparently.
Still a waste of time, but, an enjoyable one.
Yeah, I mean, like, people watch videos for different reasons, but the biggest thing I've learned while doing this is a lot of people listen to these while they're painting.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's one of the biggest things that people do is they'll turn on a big 3-hour video about a mech or whatever when they're painting their lances, just so they can go through and do that. It's almost like an audiobook for people.
Totally.
I think that basically makes you like an author then, right?
I mean, I write all of my own scripts outside of quotes that I directly pull from source materials. I would not be able to do what I do if I did not have some ability to write.
Joined by landmark BattleTech author BigRed.
Yeah, with 0 published works. That's the biggest landmark of all. 0 published.
No. Many self-published works. That's the key. I'm self-published. No big deal. Hashtag self-published.
Hashtag self-published.
Awesome. Well, there's been some good interviews out there about you already. I'm going to refer to people to the Sarna interview with you and Sean. I'll link that in the description for people if they want to get to know more about you in a more general capacity. But there were a few things that piqued my curiosity in that interview. And one thing you've mentioned is that you've played BattleTech since 7.
7 or 8 years old. Like, it's hard for me to peg down exactly which month, so I don't know if I was 7 or 8 when I got started. But yeah, I got started very, very young, and not because of video games or anything, just because of one of my friends.
I see. and you've been in it for a long time, good sir. So that's sort of nerdy, don't you think?
No.
Okay,
Really?
good. Okay, no, I'm glad you clarified that because I was really feeling nerdy myself. So I'm glad we finally had someone established in the community to come in here and say that BattleTech is not nerdy. Woo!
So did you like teach yourself the rules at?
No, my friend taught me the rules. So like,
was your friend also like 7?
yeah, like no, he was 7 or 8 himself, but effectively we played incorrectly at first because, as you would with anything. But my friend Jeremy, very, very astute book reader, very, very astute nerd. His older brother was basically in college at the time, if I remember correctly, and had left all of his BattleTech stuff behind. That was a mistake. And that's basically where it all got started. I got into it because of that. I started playing with my friends, read all of the source books that he had, which were like Technical Readout 3025, the original, and Technical Readout 3050. Then I got my own source book. I got Technical Readout 3055 from Imperial Hobbies in Richmond, British Columbia, when my mom picked it up for me. And my first battle mech was when my mom picked me up an AS7D Atlas. I know I was 8 at that time because she got me that for my birthday.
Wow. Very, very cool.
And this was in their old school location because they've moved like 4 or 5 times since then. I haven't been to their newest location just because I don't live in that city anymore. But like, this was in like when they were across the street from Richmond Center, which some people will think is when they were across the street from Lansdowne. But no, this is even before that. This is like early 1990s Richmond, BC.
So are you still in touch with this Jeremy?
I have not talked to Jeremy in 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 years. Just, we live in different areas. We do different, like people tend to have a bubble of a certain distance where they'll typically hang out with people, and it turns out that's usually true.
Cool. Well, that
Nathan's asking because it sounds like maybe we should have had him on for this interview.
Oh,
the entire
time he's like, yeah, he's a fat idiot. I can't believe I hung out with this guy.
That will be like the expose of the surprise, and we brought in Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy's in here. He's just like, yeah, I wasted a lot of time hanging out with this moron. I'm like, I'm not going to dispute any of the things he just said.
He used to lick the miniatures. I remember he liked licking the lead miniatures, and
no, they weren't led by even when I'm not that old. They'd already moved over to what's its name?
Pewter.
They'd already moved over to pewter.
I thought pewter was lead, so that shows you how much.
No, turns out they're not. No, I think they call it like white metal or something like that when it comes to metallic miniatures.
I've been sucking those pewter miniatures every night, hoping for some sort of high, and I haven't been getting it.
Well, A, I don't think lead gets you very high, but B,
what?
You should still not put metal into your body.
Oh.
It's still like, just because it's not lead doesn't mean like you should.
But I want to be a mech, and mechs are made of metal. Therefore, I have to become more metal-y.
Wow, that sounds very sophisticated.
That's as far as my thinking goes.
So you get into it early as a wee youngin'. You get your Atlas, and then like, have you been in BattleTech ever since then?
The tabletop, it comes and goes. But ever since then, I've in some way participated with BattleTech directly, whether that be through video games, whether that be through, the tabletop game or the lore. Like, I've always kind of kept roughly up to date on the lore. I think the longest I went without getting an update on the lore was like 2002 to like 2006, where I was pretty uninterested in the state of BattleTech in terms of MechWarrior Dark Age. I am aware that that is not an uncommon opinion. I think Age of Destruction, they started to kind of get it more. And then ironically enough, that's kind of where, the company decided that they didn't want to do it anymore. So they're just like, oh, interesting. But no, the original outing for MechWarrior Dark Age, not so great. The game, not so interesting. And like my main factions at the time, and there's still some of my main factions to this day, like House Merrick and Comstar. So, like, when they came out with Dark Age, it's like, what are your factions? I play Comstar and House Merrick. Just kind of look at the game, you're like, Huh.
Yeah, and that's not something that usually happens in the BattleTech like history. There's lots of wars and there's lots of things happening, but for the most part, like for a really long time, things stayed more or less the same.
It's not that things stayed the same. They changed all the time. It's just almost no one, like, faction death is bad from a tabletop game perspective because you're eliminating people's investment.
Yeah.
And I still maintain that, like, I should point out that, like, a small faction dying is not that big a deal. I know that somebody who's, like, a fan of the Outworlds Alliance will be like, boo hiss, and start screaming and throwing their pop can at the monitor. But the truth is like, factions with big player bases, you should typically not delete. If for no other reason than, like, you just drive a ton of folks out of the game.
No, it sort of fits, like, the way the lore works, You got these, like, they're these massive states, interstellar states, and they evolve, but for like an entire faction to just evaporate doesn't really make sense in the lore for the most part.
What?
So you just, you kill off leaders, you kill off whatever.
Yeah, again, generally you don't want to delete the player's investment. I know it's shocking.
So, we want to get to know you to a level of depth that has never been experienced before, Red.
That's really awkward.
Yeah.
I came here for a BattleTech interview.
No,
I didn't really come here for
Sorry. We have a very sensual theme in our podcast, and I mean, Michael started it, so I don't know, but we got to lean on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to reference some scenarios here. We're going to give you 6 different scenarios. We'll go through them one by one, and we're going to place you in that scene.
You guys are going to be so disappointed by the end of this. It's going to be amazing.
In each of these scenes, who you are and why. And obviously, if there's a character in the scene that, like, it's not going to say there's character A, B, C. It's like you visualize it. Who do you see in this scene, and who are you, and why? Okay, ready? It's going to be fun.
I'll try.
All right, first scene.
We'll see if my creativity is able to make this happen.
I'm afraid of having to leash you in personally, so let's see what happens. All right, first scenario. It is December 27th, 2766, and you are on Unity City, Terra, in the Star League High Council chamber. A fly skitters aimlessly across the wall before a flash from a jewel-encrusted laser pistol sends it into flight. A warm body falls to the ground, landing with a resounding yet moist thud as explosions, screams, and gunfire begin echoing from outside. Who are you and why?
Oh God, what am I doing here? See, this is the funniest part just before I answer this, that, like, a lot of the time people have asked me on, like, streams or in comments, they've been like, oh, if you could pilot any battle mech, what would it be? And my response is, I'm not a soldier, and I'm not very good at putting my life in jeopardy. So you have just described a scenario that would literally be me, like, what am I doing here? Why is this happening? At best, I would probably be, like, the janitor. I'm just not gonna lie to you. So I was just minding my own business, cleaning Unity Hall, and then our boy Stefan decided to ventilate Richard Cameron's skull in front of everybody. So outside of that, like, who am I? I'm nobody, man. I'm ducking. I'm jumping for the wall. Maybe if I didn't get noticed, maybe I'll make a break for it and run for my life. Yeah, that's you're gonna notice a common.
Maybe I mean, you could be like a stenographer or something. Maybe you're there documenting things.
Yeah, because I would really love to be shot by Stefan Amaris when he realizes, that I'm recording him in an act of premeditated murder. So yeah, that's definitely what I want to do.
You can't always choose to be where you want to be.
But I can. But I can, because you told me to choose what I'm doing. So yeah, like, who am I? I'm the guy who's making a break for the door as soon as I don't think that they see me. I don't want to be important. I don't want to know this stuff. I want to get out of here.
Great. The janitor breaking for the door. I'm actually really curious to see how much that answer comes up across the different scenarios. Like, that specific. I am a janitor. I'm breaking for the door. I will find out. All right, Michael, next scenario.
All right. So this one we're gonna hem you in a little bit more here. You are in command of a flagging mercenary company operating in the dense space near Terra. Each year the contracts are coming in a little bit thinner and your equipment shows its age a little bit more. That is, until you get an offer with very fair terms, an exclusive employer, and generous rehire clauses. Probably guaranteed work for 5 years, maybe steady for a decade if you're lucky. Plus, you get the first option to buy brand new mechs straight off the assembly line. You just have to work with a small, esoteric religious sect that recently rose to prominence by taking control of Terra.
Oh, praise Blake, dude. Yeah, no problem.
Sold.
Yeah, sold. No, I mean, like, so if you want the real answer as to what I would do under those circumstances, is I would begin selling off my assets and retiring. Because if I control a mech company, I have millions of C-bills worth of equipment. And I can just find somewhere nice and quiet to sell off everything and then not be a soldier anymore. But if you want the more amusing answer, oh yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Would you be the janitor in command of the flagging mercenary company?
Dude, no, flagging mercenary company just sounds like asset liquidation to me. That's all that sounds like to me. It's just like,
I would find someone who wants to acquire some legacy mechs for pennies on the dollar, pennies on the C-bill.
So, you know what? Just the components alone are worth millions. Like, you gotta, like, I know a little bit about like how they like frame the costs in BattleTech. So like, I'm not all that worried about like not having the money, as it were. So no, I mean, it would be bad for it would be totally shit for my mercenary unit. Like the pilots would be deeply upset. The staff aboard the dropship would be probably furious with me. I'm like, look, I'm just gonna sell everything and retire.
So, hired on to a new mercenary company, like reading the monthly reports, being like, geez, this just doesn't make economic sense. What are you people doing?
No, like, look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to hire on for any mercenary company. I'm going to go retire. For me individually, I can live a solid upper class life on some planet on the far reaches of like the House Davian border. You want to get to that sweet spot where you're just far enough away from Tortuga, you don't have to worry about pirates, and you're just far enough away from the Draconis Combine, Taurian Concordat, and Capellan Confederation that you don't have to worry about like large scale warfare. So you want to find that planet where you're just like, I can live on a relatively backwards world. And yeah, so I liquidate all my assets and I go for greener pastures and a better life.
Nice.
All right.
I'm only answering these from the perspective of myself. I just want to make that very clear.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Like we said, this is part of the new BungleTech personality test. It's like one of those like new age personality test things. It's see how you're going to respond to different situations. And I think all of the listeners will be getting a much better idea of who you are.
They're like, so he's a coward.
That likes to clean things. It's a coward that really.
But not even that. Like, I'm just thinking of like who plausibly would be there. Like, you got to remember, in the first one, it's just like, yeah. So I'm watching the murder of Stefan Amaris. I'm either one of his guards. Sorry, the murder by Stefan Amaris. So I'm either one of Richard's guards, in which case I'm getting ventilated like he was, or I'm one of Stefan's guards, in which case I'm going to get ventilated along with Stefan Amaris. Like, I don't want to be in that room. I don't want to be there.
All right, next scenario. You are in a crowded game store in Sweden on a chilly day. A brawl breaks out between a large group of Warhammer players, and as miniatures fly through the air, a BattleTech player steps on a table and begins to scream frantically about the lessons that should be learned from the succession wars. The violent chaos and noises causes a baby in the midst to begin to cry as his mother and father frantically shield his eyes from projectile miniatures. The tension causes a 2-liter bottle of Orange Crush to explode, drenching the crummy ground scattered with fallen pencils, hoodies, cards, and rulebooks. The store owner cowers in the back, muttering the words, "Not again, not again." Who are you and why?
Jeez. Do I even want to be in that room? I'm one of the pedestrians outside looking inside, looking on in horror, realizing that I will never allow my children to play these games. They're very dangerous.
You're the janitor walking by.
Not even. I will just say I'm a local professional. Like I'm like a stenographer as you put it the other day.
You're just on your way to court or something.
I'm
and you're
just on
like,
my way to
man,
court,
what
and I'm like,
contentious people.
Well, contentious, violent, and unruly people. I would not wish to be associated with any of these people.
Very good. Very good. Michael.
All right. Okay, we're going back in. We're going back into the BattleTech verse. So you've sold your mercenary company and you've moved off to retire. You've gone to the tranquil forest world of Isasaki in the little village of Gina. It is surrounded by idyllic forests made up of pale trees covered in amber leaves. The wildlife is placid. There's essentially no predators in the forest. And living among you in the town are these small white and black marsupials. Hundreds of them. Kodamas. Suddenly, a sound pierces the crisp morning air. Kia! It's finally happened. Someone in the village just kicked a Kodama. All around you, a horrifying scene unfolds as the entire pack swarms the streets. Hundreds of the small creatures begin tearing the citizens limb from limb, their soft black and white fur now stained red. Within an hour, everyone in Gina will be dead. Who are you in this situation?
Well, I'm a dead man.
You're already dead. You're the first to go.
No, I mean, like, you just describe a situation where everyone will be dead. So, like, I'm just, like, I'm not going to get away, like, unless I have a vehicle nearby. It's an idyllic village. It doesn't sound very vehicle friendly to me. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter who I am at that point because, at a certain point, you just die.
You're not even going to try.
But what do you want to die as, BigRed? What do you want to die as?
I mean, I will probably die huddling in a closet as the little marsupials scurry into my home and begin murdering likely me and anyone affiliated with me. So yeah, like, I mean, it's like,
all right, I'm marking you down as fatalistic.
It's not fatalistic. It's like you can either die comfortable or you can die tired. I'm not going to outrun these things. So, like, it's like, oh, you're not even going to try? It's like, I don't know. There seems to be mauling and killing an entire village worth of people. I'm not really as strong as an entire village worth of people, so...
So what about, like, so you're saying you chose a closet, but you want to be relaxed?
You guys might as well be like, so there's a thermonuclear blast 100 meters in front of you. It has a total power of 50 megatons. Who are you? It's like, I'm a scattered pile of atoms. Like, what do you want? I've been atomized.
That is fair. Kodamas are one of the most devastating forces in the universe.
Well, for a bunch of unarmed peasants, in an idyllic village, yeah, it's not going to end very well. It's like local man picks fight with pack of wolves. It's like, yeah, of course it's only going to go one way.
You could have been the person that kicked the Kodama.
I wouldn't kick the Kodama, though.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. You're smarter.
I'm just a victim of this man's malice.
Yeah, so really there's like the idiot in the scenario and there's the victims, and you decide, I'm going to be the victim. I'd rather be a victim than an idiot, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, it's not that. It's like, even describing it's like, how am I a victim even? I'm just a person living their average day. And then I get killed by a bunch of marsupials.
Okay, before you were killed by the marsupials, what were you doing that day?
I don't know. I was probably like enjoying my morning, just hanging out in my house.
Your nice house because you retired on the proceeds of selling it's just like my nice house. I think everything's going to be pretty awesome. And then I'm brutally murdered by a group of marsupials. You should have invested in Kodama proofing. You had the money.
Yeah, I had the money. I just didn't think it was that big a deal.
No one's stupid enough to kick a Kodama, clearly. And then I guess it happens. Okay, amazing. Next scenario. And this is taken from the most iconic scene ever in the BattleTech universe. Okay. You are in the Steel Viper clan council chamber on Jabuka, as a woman burst in, intruding upon a clan council that is gathered there to discuss strategy regarding the recent removal of an Ilkhan. There amongst shocked blood-named warriors, including the Khan of Steel Viper, the woman presents the severed head of a man she proclaims as a descendant of Amaris. In confidence, as the severed head slams on the ground in front of you all, she yells, "Behold, this is the man I killed, spawn of the greatest enemy humanity has ever known. Who are you, and why?
Man, you really love Star-Lord.
Everybody does. Come on.
Yeah, not the most hated novel in BattleTech history. It's going to be so weird. Geez, who am I in this scenario? Well, I mean, first of all, in the long run, I'm a very dead man because this is Steel Viper only a few years before the bad times. So
Maybe you're just a visiting stenographer or a janitor from a different clan.
I'm a visiting Star Adder, man. I'm a visiting Star Adder who's like, hello, my fellow snakes. Mighty delicious looking clan you have here. No, I mean, under those conditions, I mean, if especially if it's in like, the clan council, then obviously I have to be someone of note. I have a blood name. I'm like a star captain or a star colonel. I sincerely doubt I'm a Khan, nor would I have any desire to be such a thing, which automatically makes me a very poor clan warrior. And I probably am somebody looking upon this with complete skepticism, followed by bewilderment as to why it matters in the first place.
Very cool.
Yeah, fair enough. What's going on here?
This is the analysis that I was expecting.
You're expecting some like epic, it's like, yes, and then I took up the head of the descendant of Amaris, and I threw it at the feet of the council, and I said, you will restore me. No. Sorry. Talking to the wrong person.
Just say you'd be Dawn. Just say you'd be Dawn. Come on. Dawn's so cool. Who doesn't want to be Dawn?
I mean, I wouldn't want to be most of the people in BattleTech. I just want to make this very clear.
Last year we did like a survey for a whole bunch of like dumb questions for people to answer. And one of the things that we were a little bit surprised with was there are a huge number of people. We asked like, what in the BattleTech universe, what would you be? There was a huge part, like 50% were like, I'd probably be like a mech tech or something. I might fix mechs. They're kind of cool.
I mean, like, that's an incredibly privileged position to be in. Mech techs are not common. If I were in the BattleTech universe, I would likely be some type of, like, marketer or salesperson. It's like, I'm not, I'd be a badass mech warrior. Would you, though?
We had, like, no mech warrior responses. There were like 2 people out of 50 that were like, yeah, maybe I'd try being a mech warrior. Most people were like, nah, that sounds awful.
I want to die in a boiling hot cockpit, watching my opponent's mech foot just hovering over my cockpit, preparing to crush me.
One person wanted to drive the coolant truck.
Very dangerous job. Very dangerous job. No, because you're going to get lit up by enemy fire.
True. All right. Last scenario.
This is we're grounding it. Maybe this is a little bit more your speed. So you're gathered around a command map strewn with dozens of units at your friendly local game store. It has been a difficult, grinding battle, and both sides are on the edge of completely breaking. One decisive push is all it will take to finish this, win or lose. But then, behind you, pipes up a small voice. A fresh-faced child of no more than 7 years has wandered over to your table, enraptured by the scenes of mechanized carnage. Who are you at this table, and what do you do?
I'm likely one of the players at the table, and my first response is like, hey, go get your parents. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're annoying. So, yeah, absolutely. There you go.
What if the child was an orphan? They're a street urchin.
Wow, then find the store owner and be like, you should watch your product.
He's like, yeah, no, they live here. It's like one of the store cats, but it's a store child.
If they live here, then that means you're their legal guardian, which means why aren't they in school right now? That's all that means.
Strict commitment to legal obligations. Got it.
All right, well, we've learned a lot about you.
If the fuel air bomb goes off right next to you, what do you do? Yeah. I don't know. You die.
Okay, so what have we learned? Let's do a summary. So
intense sense of self-preservation,
cares about like rule and structures,
good economic sense, understands the value of a C-bill,
wants to die comfortably.
What's the alternative, to die uncomfortably? I mean, like, come on now.
What else do we got, Michael? Let's get into this, the psychosis of Red.
I mean, honestly, none of it sounds like psychosis. It all sounds extremely reasonable. More reasonable than almost anyone in the BattleTech universe.
Yeah, but, like, you know, the premise is like you're asking me, like, what I would do. I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not going to do most of the things that the people in BattleTech are going to do because I'm not a psycho.
There would be a lot less content for your videos if it was populated by people like you.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's the joke about like Canadian news where it's like, you know, a dog was lost and then the local family found the dog. This is like the local news story. That's like kind of the approach to life I would rather have. I don't want to have the big like, yeah, so he got drafted into the army and sent off to the craziest battle of this war. It's like, I don't want to do that.
But just think about it. You could kill Stefan Amaris's grandchild.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
Oh, no, or wow, whichever is appropriate.
Yeah. Oh, golly gee willikers.
Golly
So
gee willikers.
They should write a novel about it. We'll see how it does.
A soon-to-be classic, I'm sure.
Nathan, did you get what you wanted out of this?
Yes. It's exactly the twisted thought patterns I expected of Red. Twisted, logical, and deep. Like seeing through the scenario, like 2 stories above it. Now that the world has gotten to know you a little bit better in terms of your quirkiness, I think it is time for us to go into our creative proclamations. And one of the reasons why I really wanted you here, other than you being the second savior of the BattleTech community.
Yeah, this is just objectively not true. I mean, it's like I am a fat idiot who makes Zeus. I swear. That's really about it.
We'll do a poll on it. And see what we get. 2 options: fat idiot that makes YouTube videos, or second savior of the BattleTech community.
If your community has any degree of decorum, they will vote fat idiot.
Well, one thing you do is you do those frequent streams in which people just come and chill with you and ask questions and you just chat BattleTech. And I think you're at least from my perspective, the only creator that really opens themselves up like that to the community. And you genuinely will answer people's questions. And obviously, you're a bit smart alecky sometimes. But if people have a genuine question, I mean, not sometimes, you're always smart alecky. But if people have a genuine question, you still take the time to honor it. And you have this huge knowledge base from all your research you do from your videos. So to me, you are like this pillar of the community, truly. And so that's why I'm honored to have you share these creative proclamations with me.
I would definitely be more popular if I did not answer people's questions sincerely.
But that's all you can be. Honest to yourself, honest to the scenarios.
I'm so bad at like bullshitting people about something that I find to be like incredulous or boring. So like, you know, so it's like, hey, wasn't this character the best character ever? And if I just don't think much of the character, I'm like, what, a traitor and a war criminal? Who cares about this guy? You know?
War criminal, schmore criminal.
Dime a dozen.
It's like, find me something more interesting. Find me the greatest war criminal. not this backroom trash.
So, listeners, what we're going to do is we're going to share these creator proclamations that we gathered. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take turns reading them. Some of them were recorded, some of them were submitted in text. And we're going to go through the ones that were submitted in text first and share them. And then we're just going to discuss them collectively. So when we share them, we'll let you know who it's from, what they basically do in the BattleTech community, and then we're going to read what they shared. And remember, we limited to people to around 30 seconds worth of content. Some went a little bit over, some went a little bit under.
This is where the combative part of the interview begins. Just every single one of these, I'm like, yeah, this is this and this, and I know what they're all about. You could read in between the lines on this statement.
BigRed, we brought you here to bring the community together. Not drive it
Yeah,
apart.
the beacon. You're a beacon. You're not a fire. Don't burn it down.
I mean, I am a beacon in the sense of you probably couldn't miss me if there wasn't many buildings in the distance. I dominate the skyline. And not because of my size in the sense of my ego, but in the sense of the size and the sense of my tonnage.
Hey, no one hates a heavy-tonned mech.
Unless it has no weapons.
You're like a propaganda machine, man. You have speakers. You're like friggin' what's that chick with the speakers on her mech that plays the rock? Rhonda Snord. You're like Rhonda Snord, except without weapons.
I hate Snords irregulars.
All right, let's not go into that. Okay, let's not go. Back on topic. Okay, Red, you have the honor of reading our first creator proclamation. Can you let us know who it's from, what they do in the community at a high level, and then just read what they said?
So this is by Matt Plog, who is a BattleTech artist of some note. And at this point, I will read what he has said. And I'm no longer is this me. This is now Matt Plog.
Even the part where you're talking about this is not me. That's also Matt Plog.
Yeah,
Matt
it's all here in text. No, so the text begins now. Obviously, drawing something that you love has a lot of impact. While I was never very good or into tabletop BattleTech, I literally grew up with the video and computer games. That's probably what helped the most in drawing for the system. That exposure really lets you know all of the conceits in the design. Loving it helps you with all the littler details that makes each piece personable and believable as existing in that universe.
Very, very cool. A little bit about love, connection and appreciation, letting you go deeper. That sounded way more sexual than I wanted it to be, but
Yeah, you can tell.
Drawing next. He's
Yeah,
like,
Matt
I
Plog's out
learned
there.
some
He's like,
things.
if I saw that Marauder out there, I'd let it take me. Matt Plog's an incredible artist from over the years. You can definitely see huge improvements in the artwork that he put together over time, too. Like, some of his earlier stuff is a little bit rough, but this is the case with any artist. But, like, in particular, like, you can take a look at his DeviantArt page. You can take a look at what he still does for official BattleTech artwork, and it's very, very sharp. In fact, I believe he did a Blood Asp Hell's Horses art piece where it's just beautifully done, where it's leaping through the air, so it's a variant with jump jets, and it's firing some of its weapons. Very, very nice. He's a very, very talented artist.
very cool. Yeah, he even did the bunker official art.
Oh.
Yeah. Which you can see
I didn't
on
know
our
that was
record
Matt.
sheet. Yeah. Plog, man. He did such a good job.
It is Plog. I didn't put that. How did I not put that
Matt
together?
Plog is Plog. Yeah.
Of course. It all
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, like, you'd be surprised to find out that indeed the man whose last name is Plog is actually Plog, yes.
All right, let's go to the next one. Michael, take it away. This is you.
All right. Next up is by Burben.
He's a writer in the universe, and he's part of the Valhalla Club podcast.
He says,
Be the player you want to play all the time. Enjoy the game for what it is and what it could be. And for frag's sake, don't be so damn serious. It's a game. Enjoy it.
But I am serious.
no.
I think when it comes to tabletop play, you should strive to be the player you want to play against all the time. It's impossible to always achieve that. There are times where people will let something get ahead of them. There are times when people will be like, unaware of what, like if you're having a very good time and your opponent isn't, and you don't pick up on that, sometimes that can, be problematic. but at the end of the day, you should strive to be the player you would want to play against. It's very true what he's saying there.
With one exception. Don't be the player that Nathan wants to play against.
That's true. That's true. You generally want to just dogpile Nathan. But no, it's incredible. Like, I'm playing with words a bit here, but it's actually, I am in fact proving that I am not the player who Valhalla Club would want to play against. No, nitpicking. No, but it's very true. The sentiment behind it is like, don't take the game seriously. Enjoy the game for what it is. I think most tabletop communities would be better served by taking on that advice. And it's advice that I didn't follow for a long time. Way back in the day, I was a way shittier player to play against. It's like I was unbearable. It's like, sitting there like, check out that win-loss ratio. It's like, were you having fun? I won. It's like, that's not the right way to do these games. It's really not.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Nate, like, so when I say that, don't be like the player Nathan wants to play against, Nathan's like that. Nathan is the player he would want to play against. The problem is no one else would want to play against that player. Nathan is alone in really wanting to suffer as he's playing the game. So, I think Nathan's like auto-flagellating play styles probably not for everyone.
Hey man, suffering builds character. What can I say? Let's
you're
suffer
so
together.
Kind. And everyone in the podcast is already proving that none of us want to be the player who someone wants to play against. Michael's out here besmirching his opponent. I'm out here nitpicking. Nathan's out here like, I'll play however I'm going to play. It'll be random. It's like
I'm mostly besmirching my teammate.
Yeah, but that makes it worse. That makes it worse. It's like you're playing a teams game and your friend is just dogpiling you the whole time. It's like, oh my god. It's like, yeah, so you can now check here on the BungleTech podcast 3 people who are not who you want to play with on the tabletop game.
If I made it to the dropship and Nathan didn't, I'm leaving him.
Excellent. This is yet more evidence.
I'd sit there smiling, being like, that was a good decision. Time to enjoy my time in jail. Being a POW sure sounds like fun. Time to gain some life experience.
You know what? You can only hope that you can experience being a POW in the Capellan Confederation. Yes. They will treat you well. They will show you the error of your ways.
I want to be educated. I want to be like...
Oh, you definitely will be.
Why would I pay for education when a Capellan Confederation would do it to me for free as a POW? It sounds like a great time. Educate me, Capellans. Educate me. Okay, on to the next one. This is by Tommy, Silent Sea Raven from Wolfnet.
Oh, very cool.
Any unit in the BattleTech universe has a place. Explore all units. You never know what might fit in your competitive unit. Any paint is better than no paint. Community is everything. Find the right one for you. Help new members to get into the BattleTech universe and be a mentor. Don't forget that rolling dice goes hand in hand with learning lore. BattleTech isn't everything. Enjoy life to the fullest. Clan Jade Falcon isn't for everyone. Don't hate.
Clan Jade Falcon is for everyone. Malvina was right.
I mean, it was really good until he went into the Clan Jade Falcon isn't for everyone.
I mean, it's definitely better than Steel Viper, though.
Well, get the my podcast. I mean, get the heck off my podcast.
Oh, he did it. He did it. We've done it. We got rid of the rated T for teen. We're now rated up for M for mature.
We get one before the ratings board comes after us.
All it was doing was just a little bit of poking, a little bit of strategic poking. Like, maybe if I just mentioned that Jade Falcon is better than Steel Viper.
How Steel Viper is my response in that situation. It's just so dumb. It's exactly what Steel Viper would do.
Yeah, absolutely. As the Star Adder in the room, I just kind of smirk like all going according to plan.
I don't understand any of you clan people.
All right, let's move to the next one. This is back to you, Red.
It's from Constantin from TMC. They do Hired Steel. They've also done a bunch of work for MechWarrior 5 clans at this point. A lot of those cinematics were done by Constantin and his team. So I know Constantin a little bit. I've talked to him a couple times. He's a nice guy. He's really cool. He says, and I quote,
BattleTech and MechWarrior need more content creators to keep the lore alive and draw in more new players. If you need any assistance in creating digital art, videos, or 3D animation, feel free to reach out to us. We will help to get you started.
That's very cool, man. Like, I actually didn't know that. I wish I'd known that. I wish I'd known that a couple of years ago.
Super awesome to hear. We also talked to him, and yeah, it was super cool. Super creative guy. Obviously, what him and the team have been creating is fantastic, and offering to sort of help other people get started is great.
No, yeah, that's awesome. I don't think a lot of people understand like the content creator ecosystem is kind of like vital to modern internet communities, tabletop games, even video games. Like, you know, people embracing the game, enjoying it, playing it, researching it, talking about it. Like, you can see that those videos all like blow up over time, but well, not all of them, but a lot of them will luck out and blow up over time. But it does a lot just to enrich the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, one of the big things that inspires people to play these games or to paint armies that they want to paint and whatnot are all based on the stories and character around those things. So it's like, you're immersing yourself in that world. People don't necessarily want to have just a generic lump of plastic that they're, fielding on the table with some arbitrary rules attached to it. When they field their Clan Steel Viper Force, they want to feel the sting of defeat. They want to feel that. They want to feel the diminishing returns of the clan and how they'll be spiteful the whole way down before the Star Adders bind their way around them and crush them.
I never connected it, but maybe my interest in connection to suffering is one of the reasons why I connect to Steel Viper. Maybe that is it. Maybe we've gotten to we need to ask me those questions, the questions that we asked Red one day, and I'm going to be like, I'm the person on the ground crying, enjoying every second of this and every single theme. I'm the first person to get torn apart by the Kodama.
I stare as the wave of Kodama come upon me, and I just outstretch my arms and let it happen.
Let me die like a Steel Viper.
Oh my God. I was deprived for so long. But now I
This is a
finally
warrior.
rest.
So, Warriors.
Yeah,
Dad.
he's ironically not fighting back. It's the Kodama kill him. It's like the whole time you're like, really? Is it? Is it really? Is that how that works?
All right, Michael, next one is yours.
All right, so the next one is from Mr. Brute, part of the On the Origins of Battle Mechs, and he says,
Never underestimate conventional forces. You may think you are the master of war striding the battlefield, but just know the rest of us can't wait to bring you down to our level.
Yes.
I to this day have still not played with conventional forces, and it bums me out. I really want to do just like a generic combined arms force and just fight a possibly losing battle against some sweet battle mechs.
Conventional arms can be a lot of fun. They can also be deeply frustrating if your opponent has tailored their list to deal with it. So if somebody's just going to light you up with a bunch of LBX autocannons, it's going to be like that thing from South Park. You're going to have a bad time. Oh, what's that? Motivation hit. Okay, you can't do anything anymore. Boo! Yeah.
Oh no, I got stuck in the mud.
Through armor criticals are, a thing. But they're definitely really they're way worse when you're in a tank. People start scoring those specialties on them, and you just degrade or just die. A lot of times, oh, your crew's dead. It's like, sweet, what happens? It's like, well, your crew's dead.
I sent some new ones.
That's not how that works.
When I was GMing some BattleTech campaigns a while ago, I remember the one thing across all our games that put the most fear in players was infantry in heavily reinforced buildings. They just were not suited for it. They didn't know how to deal with it, and they were terrified of just these little plinkers that were constantly getting them. So scenario terrain, you put friggin' infantry in buildings, man, that are reinforced. Holy Toledo. Terrifying.
Yeah, infantry, battle armor in an area that you have to go into is the usual response to that. If you're just playing to shoot things, will be well, just don't go into the city, bro. Just level the city, bro. It's but if the actual objective is to go in there and to take certain areas without blowing them up, yeah, you're in a lot of trouble if you don't have your own infantry to help clear some of that out.
Well, time for us to play some of these audio clips. What we're going to do is we're going to play them, then we're going to chat about them a little bit, okay? So let's start with Brent from Of Mechs and Men.
Hello, I am Brent from Of Mechs and Men, and here's the deal. New players are the lifeblood of BattleTech. Doing things to turn them away is to tie a tourniquet around the neck of the very thing you love. Also, the Dark Age is not as bad as you think it is. Check it out. May your dice always roll 12s. Selah.
Yeah, Brent's awesome. Super cool guy. I've talked to them a little bit outside of that, but Of Mechs and Men, very high quality people. Very cool people. And it's very true what he says, if you want the hobby to survive and if you want more people to play against or play with, you kind of need people in the community to do those things. So don't tell them to leave.
And on top of that, he also is an honorable clanner because he ended it with Selah. So what else can I say? truth all around.
I mean, we can presume he's honorable because it's likely that he's not a Steel Viper.
You don't know the meaning of honor. Steel Viper honor is, it is just so pure. It is the purest honor.
Yeah, that's why they started reaving everybody. It was because
we got to reave. That's how you can maintain armor. You reave. It's like step 1, try to be honorable. Step 2, reave people that are not honorable. Step 3, you're honorable.
I just want to point out that my favorite part of the Wars of Reaving are when he kills the Star Adder Khan, thinking that that's like, yeah, I took care of that, and then the council murks him and they beat him to death. It's like, yeah, apparently you weren't allowed to just shoot your opponent in the middle of a one-on-one unaugmented duel. Apparently that's just not allowed. It's like, I'm Ilkhan, I will make it allowed. It's like, that's not how that works,
buddy. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I do love the bit about welcoming new players. It's a consistent theme. It's a consistent theme here in the proclamations. It's a consistent theme in like everyone we talk to. Overall, I found the BattleTech community super welcoming, and we should keep being like that.
Heck yeah. Next, another pretty renowned creator, Mechanical Frog. Let's give it a listen and see what he had to say.
There's something special about BattleTech. It's more than just a tabletop war game. Ultimately, it's a universe made up of interesting characters that get to play at an interstellar scale. For players and fans of the setting, we can escape the world's trials and tribulations in order to go on countless adventures. Deep down, we want to build things and make connections with others. BattleTech has always been a vehicle to do that. Keep playing, keep creating, and show yourself and others some grace. See you out there, MechWarriors.
I'll just say that Mechanical Frog, great friend, wonderful YouTube channel, and his advice here is spot on as always, but he did leave out the one part that he usually puts at the end of his videos, which is to make the day a little bit brighter for everybody. So I will also say that actually personally impacted me. I heard it enough. It's like propaganda. No, it's true. I can actually say my demeanor improved from following that advice to at least some degree. So no, Mechanical Frog is a very high class person in that respect.
Say la to that. Yeah, Michael, you scoff at my say la, Michael. You scoff at it. What do you got, inner sphere, friggin' guy? You can't say anything. Say something sincere. Say something more sincere than say la. Impossible.
This was supposed to be there's all these like beautiful, wonderful messages of like togetherness and stuff, and we're out here tearing each other apart and tearing each other down.
This seems to be very very Steel Viper. I agree. I agree, Michael. This is what happens when you let a Steel Viper.
Steel Viper's fault.
By the time this podcast ends, someone here is gonna get reaved. And it ain't gonna be me.
Ironically enough, Steel Vipers are more likely to be reaved than any other clan.
All right.
No.
Let's take a listen to the next one. This is Mike from the Tales from the Periphery podcast. Give it a listen.
Hi there, it's Mike Whittaker from the UK podcast Tales from the Periphery. I come from a place where I'm generally trying to pitch the game at wargamers as much as any other type of gamer. And the take I've come across that gets people intrigued is that BattleTech is actually a historical wargame. I mean, sure, it's future history, but that doesn't stop it. If there's at least as much depth there as there is to a World War II game or a Napoleonic game. So, yeah, historical wargame.
Very interesting and unique take on this one. I think an interesting way on the topic of getting players into the community. Maybe that's a different avenue because I don't know many historical war gamers that necessarily play BattleTech. Could this be a good way to branch out?
I think that historical wargamers can find a lot to love in BattleTech, definitely. But it just kind of depends on what their own interests are going to be, right? Like, for some people who play historical war games, they want to play more like the Napoleonic era because they're interested in Napoleon and his campaigns, or in like the era of pike and shot and whatnot. But it is true that for a lot of other people who are historic war gamers, is they want to play out these scenarios and these battles and these what ifs, and it doesn't really matter what the troops are, whether they're fighting Caesar in Gaul or they're Padden in, Western Europe, right? Like it doesn't really matter per se as in like delving into that. And BattleTech definitely can scratch that itch for a lot of people. So I think it's a very interesting take, but I would actually argue that BattleTech is both a historic war game and a normal war game in the context of like it has a current era that kind of goes forward and continues to go forward, and then it has more historical eras that you can play, like the Star League, early Succession Wars, etc. Like so you get both with it. It's a very interesting setting in that respect, that it's like, yes, it's a normal war game and it's a historic war game, and there's all the tools to play it both of those ways.
Yeah, and I'm surprised because we've talked to a few people before on the podcast about sort of, what makes BattleTech compelling, what it is, the combination of like tabletop game and the lore, and there's whole people who just love the lore. And it wasn't until just now, Mike's thing, I'd never thought about it. But yeah, it does have a lot sort of like structurally and feel wise in common with the historical wargaming structure.
It comes from that era of tabletop gaming. Like, BattleTech borrows a lot from, like, as all early war games borrowed a lot from RPG systems and historic war game systems of its time. So like, even in terms of how it's structured, it's always borrowed a lot from both role-playing games and from historics.
Next, we have a fan favorite, Shrapnel and Jamal from the PPC. Let's give a listen to their audio clip.
Greetings, Mech Jocks. Shrapnel here. Jamal here. From the PPC. Word to the wise. Play the game. Play it on paper. Play it on Fletch, Megamech, Tabletop Simulator. With the units you want. Don't chase others. Do your own thing. Also, death to the clans and urban mechs. More you play, with more units, more fun it will be. Oh, do the stupid things. DFA is always viable.
My advice is, don't dwell on the minority of negativity in the community. Find the positive groups and stick with them. Ignore our stabs at the urban mech, however.
Death to the urban mechs. The PPC! The PPC!
I will just say straight up, anyone who says that the DFA is always viable is delivering the message I want to hear.
I am an extraordinarily conservative player on the tabletop. So for me, it's like, I'm glad they're having a great time. They sound like a lot of fun. I've actually not followed their podcast before. I might take a look at it. But I will say, for me, it's like, oh, we can either death from above or we can shoot them with 5 medium lasers and guarantee the kill. Oh, we're gonna shoot them with the 5 medium lasers.
Actually, that's what your personality test said you would say.
Look, reliability. That's all what it's all about. It's like, what's the most reliable means of return?
A long time ago, Michael taught me the term, the rule of cool, in terms of GMing. And I think that has now, perhaps, maybe he regrets teaching me that, because now I play BattleTech. I make all my decisions based on the rule of cool. The other day, like, we were playing at this sort of this competitive setting, and one of our local guys baited me to do this charge. He like set himself up. He's like, if Nathan charged here, he's definitely going to die. But if it hit, it would be so cool. He cannot resist. And I saw it. He put it out, and I'm like, you're baiting me to charge you, aren't you? Because you know it's a bad tactical decision, but you know I can't resist cool. I'm like, damn right I can't. Charge attack. And then I got obliterated and blown up. So thank you for the rule of cool, Michael. Thank you.
Style over substance, baby.
That's right. That's right.
My only thing is, I don't know why they dissing urban mechs.
Urban mechs are super trash. Like,
that's the point.
I remember one of the things I said that made people like genuinely upset with me was, how can the urban mech be a trash can when you can't fit one in an urban mech inside of another? Trash cans contain trash, and it can't contain an urban mech. Oh boy.
Oh man. Yeah, they need stackability.
Hasn't the poor Irby suffered enough? It doesn't need you and Shrapnel and Jamal all laying into it.
For the record, if you play urban mechs, I don't care. It can be a fun game. It's just, I'm not going to pretend that the urban mech is a good mech. It's total garbage.
What I like about the urban mech is how, its purpose, right? It was just for basically like controlling sort of riots and stuff like that. It's so stupid. Like, why would you have a mech that has like an AC-20 or AC-10 controlling riots? Like, it's total overkill.
Oh, not only that, an AC-10 can only kill one infantryman a turn anyway, unless you put
Oh,
in
by the
special
rules.
stat.
Yeah, you're right.
So you're just like, yeah, check out this anti-riot gear. It's like, what did it do? It fired its 200 millimeter cannon. It killed one dude. It's like, what? They were all crowded over there. What the
You're
hell?
next.
And then it followed up with its small laser. Oh, what did it do? It also killed one guy. It's like, wow, sure hope the protesters don't mob the urban mech, climb up and kill the pilot. That'd be pretty uncomfortable. Can't even give it a flamethrower. They give it a small laser. You're just totally incapable of doing what it's designed to do.
Oh, I love that thing.
And on the topic of bad mech,
Let's listen to what Sean Murray says from Sarna.
Bad mechs are the best mechs. They've always got a story to tell, and sometimes they'll surprise you. Usually about getting you killed in surprising ways, but still, you'll be surprised.
Well, that definitely fits the theme of what we were just talking about. That's like, it's funny how that works. Yeah,
I'm not quite as much of an urban mech memer as some people are. You know, it's fun to be, you do some japes at the expense of the urban mech. But my personal bad mech love is the Blackjack BJ1. I just like the mech. I think it's a nice mech. It's a bad mech.
So,
nothing I do is going to make it a good mech.
I actually disagree vehemently with that on the basis that I love the original, quote, misprint, unquote, of the BJ2 Blackjack. It is my favorite thing that FASA ever did, which is that, there's two versions of this that they put out, but one of them was supposed to have been done and one of them wasn't, is they gave the BJ2 originally 11 single heat sinks with 2 ER large lasers and 4 SRM2 streaks and 1 ton of ammunition. So if you alpha strike, you literally explode.
But I don't want a good version of the Blackjack. No.
The BJ2 has 11 single heat sinks and twin ER large lasers with then ammunition on board.
That's just what Nathan likes. Nathan wants his mechs to melt into a pool of slag and then explode.
Yeah, it's like the BJ2 in its original incarnation, and I reject the heresy of what FASA did, being like, oh, that was a mistake. We errated it to have double heat sinks. How dare you? How dare you, you cowards? You cowards!
It is insufficiently bad now.
Yeah, now it's only just mid. No, it has to have the 11 single heat sinks.
11 single heat sinks, and then, you can fire one of the lasers.
And still overheat. Still overheat.
But you've got a backup laser. So if they blow off one of your lasers, you still got another laser. Unless it explodes your ammo, and then you're dead.
When me and my friends looked at that mech in the TRO when we were kids, we were like, but why? Even a bunch of 8 and 9-year-olds were like, what the hell? Everybody looking at the TRO, looking at each other like, why would you take this thing? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, now, 30 years later, I'm like, it was beautiful. They should have never fixed this. How dare they? No, that was wonderful. There's nothing as wonderful as watching somebody just jump, fire both large lasers, and then quite literally suffer an ammunition explosion. It's truly magical.
Next one we have is from Seth WhiteFox from the Mercenary Star podcast. Let's give it a listen.
While BattleTech has many amazing factions, from the great houses to the clans, no other universe gives mercenaries as much respect or lore-defining moments. Whether you play the Knight Errant, reflecting the masterless warrior's devotion to chivalry and honor, or you play the Brigand, just in it for the money, choose or create your unit and tell their story on the table. As players, remember to respect your fellow MechWarriors, whether they're filthy clanners or Innersphere Surats. For in the end, it's not about the contracts, it's about the legacy you leave behind.
Oh, it's all about the contracts.
Yeah, it's all about the contracts and how it's a sucker's game taking those contracts.
Yeah.
Just sell the mechs.
Yeah, to sell the mechs. Yeah, to sell them from your pilots who joined.
They sell their mech.
Sell their mech out from under them. Oh my god.
That's like a common contract clause, right? Too, like when you join, like I think that happened in the Grey Death Legion, right? And the mercenaries signed up with their mech, and then the Grey Death Legion had ownership over it. I remember that being like a beat point, I think, in there. Is that correct?
I don't remember that.
Nathan probably made it up.
I don't make anything up. I'm a Steel Viper. We're very transparent and straightforward, and really smart. Super smart.
And also mentioning the mercenaries, the new mercenaries mechanics. I haven't seen them myself yet, but I've been hearing good things about them.
I too have not seen them yet because I've been working on my giant Banshee video, and I don't take rec time until I get things done, unfortunately.
No mercenaries campaign for you. Back to the content mines.
Back to the content mines, man.
But I will say that, like, I think that, you know, mercenaries in the BattleTech universe really do get a lot of respect. And not in terms of their characters, but in terms of, like, the amount of story beats that they get.
You know why that is, though, right?
I don't know.
So mercenaries are basically the ultimate vehicle for storytelling in the universe because they're a outside party. If you want to tell a story with mercenary, like if you want to tell a story in the inner sphere, it's way easier to do it through the lens of a mercenary than through the lens of the individual house or clan.
That makes sense.
And then you can even be like an outsider mercenary. You can be just like, regular Joe mercenaries. And then you show up and you're like, ooh, these Capellans, they have such weird ways.
Yes.
And you can explore that as a vehicle for the reader.
Yep. So if the reader's uninformed, so is the mercenary. And so when the mercenary learns, the reader learns. So there's a ton of benefits of using mercenaries as your primary, tool to storytell. There's times to use houses, of course, too, but mercenaries are very frequently used for that very reason.
You're telling me they got education camps here? That sounds swell.
I can't wait for everyone to be literate.
Hey man, literacy is overrated based on what we previously learned in our bungle test episode. Next we have Sven Vanderplank, who is another YouTube content creator creating long form content. How about we give him a listen and see what's up?
I believe the BattleTech community to be an overwhelmingly positive one. Over the years, I've witnessed so many new people welcomed in with open arms by more experienced members to answer questions, share advice, collaboration that I've not seen anywhere else in any other community, and a diversity of fans from all different walks of life. I think there are so many different aspects to BattleTech as a hobby. It has such depth to it that it can appeal to so many different people. My only hope is that it remains that way, remains an open and inviting place for newcomers. So those would be my final words. I hope they won't be. I hope we'll have many more years together. But whether we do or don't, Stefan Amaris did nothing wrong. Stefan Amaris did nothing wrong.
So first of all, I want to agree with Sven. Stefan Amaris was the man. That's why they call him Stefan the Man Amaris. That's why he has that name. No, I very much agree with Sven. I've had the privilege of collaborating with Sven several times. I asked so much of him when I asked him to do the entirety of Ian Cameron's speech in the Pollux Proclamation. He's just like, this is the whole speech. I'm like, you're such a good friend, Sven. But no,
the community's so generous. Sven.
But no, in all sincerity, Sven is a fantastic content creator. But on top of that, he's very right. Where overwhelmingly the community is very welcoming to broadly across the board, and it is what it is for someone who might have a background in like some other games, and this is no big shade being thrown anywhere. Like, as most games tend to have fairly welcoming communities, BattleTech I found is like overwhelmingly welcoming. So it's definitely a very cool thing that people can kind of just get into it, and he's completely correct.
Yeah, man.
Heck yeah. Keep it up, everyone. Like, it's really noticeable. It's genuinely noticeable in like all sorts of BattleTech spaces I've been. Everyone is super cool, super inclusive, super friendly. I'm a relative newcomer, and it's been, I don't know, it's been super rad.
Yeah.
I am also a relative newcomer.
You just gotta try and one up me everywhere, don't you, Big Red?
Yeah, it's, that's like, he's like, didn't you mention you've done this for 30 years? I'm like, that's not the point. That's not the point.
But actually, in the scheme of things, compared to the literal authors of the game, I'm a relative newcomer.
Yeah, they've only done this 10 years longer than me. In geological time, I'm a very newcomer. On a geological scale, I've not done this for more than a few seconds.
Compared to chess, all of us BattleTech players, we are about amateurs.
But I'm very glad to hear that the community's been very welcoming to you, Michael, and things like that. How long have you been into the game?
8 months longer than I've been doing a podcast about it. So I guess like 3 years.
No, that's great, man. It's something that I've talked about before on stream, but new people coming in, people enjoying the game, people learning what it's all about and embracing it is actually a super cool thing. One of the greatest compliments I'm ever given, and it doesn't happen very often, so don't worry, my ego is in check, is when somebody tells me that they got into BattleTech because of some of the videos I've made. And I'm just like, wow, that's a very gratifying thing to hear, because the franchise itself, it is a game, so there's things that are obviously more important than life and than BattleTech. But it's something that's very special to a lot of people, and when there's more people coming in, that's special to them as well. Not only is it good for them, and it's good for the people who are already there, and it also helps with preserving that. So, one day when I'm gone, and hopefully that won't be for a long time, but one day when I'm gone, hopefully there is still BattleTech out there and that people are still enjoying it because of the nature of the community.
Yeah.
I like that both you and Sven both hedged your bets. Being one day I will die. I hope that day is not today.
Well, no, quite literally, yeah. I mean, you gotta knock on wood, right? We're all only here for a little while, and it's much like Frog says, ironically enough. It's why not make it a little bit better for everybody while you're here? You won't always accomplish that. That's the thing I'm going to add on to them, is a little bit of pessimism, but also a little bit of, realism in a good way. Is you won't always make the world a better place for everybody every day, but you should try to. And, sometimes we all slip, sometimes we all fall. But at the end of the day, you should try to have a positive way of dealing with other people in the world, because we're all in this together to some degree.
Unless the village is being attacked by Kodamas. In that case,
no, I mean, I'm in it together with the villagers. I'm going to die right alongside them.
Singing Kumbaya.
Singing Kumbaya. It's sort of it's that togetherness of being 100 meters away from the Tsar Bomba when it was detonated. It's who were you in that moment? Who were you? It's wow. What were you feeling at that time? Well, funnily enough, the human brain actually won't register the feeling by the time the radiation has emerged in such a way as the thermonuclear blast begins. It's I'm likely to be a pile of
feeling a warmth of togetherness.
Awesome. All right, let's move to our last audio clip that was submitted by a content creator, and it is by the Venerable Tex from the Black Pants Legion. Let's give it a listen.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Do not let anyone else's work, art, struggle, challenge, or creation be held over anything in your own life. Your life is unique. Therefore, so are your challenges, difficulties, trials, and tribulations. Your successes, accordingly, are your own and must never be held in comparison. You're only in competition with yourself. A lifelong pursuit of self-improvement is a way of life. So live it well as you can.
I mean, I would expect nothing but words of wisdom from Tex. It's true. It's
super Tex manifesto.
I like it because it totally is like of all the proclamations that were made, his is the most like a proclamation. Like everyone you can imagine, like sort of sitting across you from dinner. This was like he stepped up on a podium and looked at these people, and all these people were sorrowful in front of him, and he's like, comparison is the thief of joy. And they all looked at him and they're like, yes, Tex, I understand. Yeah, no, very true. And I think in terms of from the creative perspective or even the gameplay perspective, like you gotta march to the beat of your own drum.
You're not wrong. I'll share a bit of my own story here. The narcissism showing through. But like, I didn't watch any other content creators for a year when I got started because I'm very easily influenced. And I'm like, I've got to make my own style. I have to figure out how I want to do these things because if I just watch other people, I will accidentally like begin adopting some of their stuff. And it needs to be something that I do for me and is done through my own like creative juices, right? Like it has to be something that works. And if I'd compared myself to what other people were doing, especially at the start, I would have gotten absolutely demotivated 100%. I would have like, wow, these other people are producing amazing work. I'm not producing amazing work. What's wrong with me? No, so like, he's absolutely correct. You need to and this is the case with all elements of the hobby, whether it's your painting, whether you're making a video, whether you're, writing something, it doesn't really matter. You should learn, of course. Learning is incredibly important. But like if you only hold value to your own work based off of how you compare it with others, then you'll be deeply unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah, just get out there and make stuff. Be proud of what you make.
Like I've talked to people a bunch about painting. I'm a mediocre BattleTech painter. I'm better at painting larger scale miniatures usually. Also, ironically enough, I'm not very good at painting tanks. So, whoops, boy, was this a mistake. But in all seriousness, I've had people like, oh well, I don't paint my stuff because I won't be very good at it. I'm like, yeah, but then you're not going to grow. Like, if you want to become a better painter, the best way to start is by painting.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean not to learn or not to try to prepare yourself adequately for it. But like, if you want to get better, you're not going to be great out the gate. Some people are, but most people aren't. You've got to grow. You've got to learn what you're doing. You've got to learn how to apply the techniques that you develop. And over time, you'll become a better painter and your mechs will look better and better. You'll remember stuff from 5, 10, 15 years ago, and you'll still be proud of what you did back then.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll have part of all of it is learning to appreciate your own growth.
Yeah, and I think like with my painting, for example, I don't consider myself, like I'm not a good painter. I don't really enjoy painting. But when I spend the time to do it, even though my painting jobs come out as less quality than people that are good at it, like I'm still proud of my ghetto things. And I don't know, I just, sometimes the act of it, doing the act of it actually connects you to it more. So if you don't attempt the act, you'll never give yourself the opportunity for that connection.
I used to hate painting. It was a chore. It was something I had to do. And that was the way I felt until I was about 20 years old. So for the first 13 years of my hobbying, I neglected a skill that I should have been developing because I didn't, because I didn't really feel that connection with it. I was prioritizing the wrong elements of the games I was playing. And once I got into my 20s and I really started to focus on it more, my painting gradually got better and better and better. And I learned a lot more about how to appreciate the games I played. And if I just compared myself to like, what other people were doing who were better painters, I took advice from them. But I looked at like, is my own stuff better than it was before? And what can I do better and what can I learn?
Well, those are actually the end of the creator proclamations that were submitted. So now it's our turn. Michael, would you like to go first with yours?
Nathan, your one is listed as higher on the thing here. Yeah, I mean, like we did them all in order.
We did.
Nathan.
Should we stay in order with me?
We should absolutely. I mean, wouldn't it be disrespectful to all of these other content creators if we broke that now?
I guess you're right, Red. I will go first. Thank you. Thank you for once again the legal perspective to make sure that orphan at the store goes to school and is responsibly raised. This is another example of that in action. Okay, allow me.
A game of Classic is not a marathon or a sprint. It is more akin to yoga flow. At the table, don't focus on being faster. Instead, focus on transitioning between different phases smoothly. Not only will this be less stressful, but it will also make the table experience feel more holistic and narrative in nature. And with flow, eventually comes speed. Be water, my mech warrior friends. Be water.
Water evaporates.
And does that make it worse, Red? Is that was that a criticism or a casual observation? Which was it? I don't understand.
As soon as he finished saying it, I look over, I'm like,
yes, good job, Red. Good job. Go sit down, Red. It's okay. Thanks for sharing.
It's like you're just sitting there feeling the knife in the back. I'm like, this is what happens to all steel vipers. Oh, God.
Thank you for that. Michael, how about you? I'd like to hear your proclamation.
At first, he's like, hey, Michael, why don't you go first? And I'm like, that'd be really disrespectful. Okay, I guess I'll go first. He finishes going, yeah, by the way, Nathan, water evaporates.
Big Red, actually a plant here to sow discord.
I wonder if anyone actually said that to Bruce Lee. When Bruce Lee was like, be water, my friends, be water. And people are like, actually, Bruce Lee, did you know water evaporates? I don't want to evaporate, so I think I'm going to continue my steel form kung fu instead. Bruce Lee's like, okay.
Nathan, maybe we got to start doing the personality test before they get on air.
I knew what we signed up for. All right, Michael, let's hear yours.
Enjoy your BattleTech with whoever it is you get to share it with. That might be a table that you're playing at. That might be friends you like to talk to about the lore. That might be creators you read or listen or watch. And if you have the chance, take the opportunity to share it with someone new. Bring someone new into the hobby, whatever aspect of it is that you enjoy.
Well, that was a beautiful statement, Michael. Very beautiful.
Thank you, Big Red. You're so respectful.
You're welcome.
Did you know that when you listen or watch things, you use your eyes and ears?
Nathan, why are you being so petulant? You're being very disruptive to me and our
Get it
guests.
to the corner, Nathan. Get it to the damn corner, Nathan. Okay. I know where the corner is. No worries. Just another day. Well,
that's all of them.
No. We are left with the honor of hearing your final. You got to wrap us up, buddy.
Give us your final words.
Everything described here so far is really just talking about life and how to approach life as a whole. It's not necessarily about BattleTech. It's about the connections we make with other human beings. It's about how we strive to be better for ourselves and for others. And it's about learning and growing and being a part of a community and having something that you mutually enjoy with a lot of people. And the best thing I think I can say is that I have learned an enormous amount from many great people since I started doing this. And I'm very incredibly grateful for that. And I hope that everyone who has the opportunity to play BattleTech can take that as well, but also apply certain things about the community and the game to their personal lives.
I think that is very wise and a very succinct way to wrap up and perceive all the different proclamations today. As you say, it is about life. That's a good way to sum it up. And, it's awesome that you've had these creators help you. And I mean, you've done the same for other creators. It's very transparent. Even bringing me on to help with your content, I know was really great for BungleTech. And so not only that, but like I say, those frequent streams, talking to people, building the community, being kind shepherd.
I mean, I'm usually kind. Again, I can't promise that will. I don't want to make sure that's part of the brand. That's not always the brand. I want to make that very clear. I'm usually pretty cool.
Kind adjacent. It's like a secondary objective in the HUD, you know what I mean? Or maybe tertiary, but you got to go for those things if you want full marks. But no, I'm glad you've had that experience, and I think you are really a good representation of that too. So you are what you've received, you have as well given, my friend. I really appreciate you even taking the time to be on our podcast today and spout all these fallacies about Steel Viper.
I mean, like, I really only came here to dunk on Steel Viper, truth be told. I didn't come on here for the interview. No, I was just like, what can I do to bury Steel Viper? It's already dead, but you know what? 6 feet isn't enough.
And for that, you are always welcome on this podcast.
That's Michael in the background.
No.
Like, he's just clapping. It's like, bravo, sir. Bravo. Thank you so much. What an incredible work you do for the community. Here's your shovel, sir. If you could just dig a little deeper. For the record, that's not why I'm here.
It is, but once again, it's a secondary objective. It's I'm
one of those guys who goes around. I play all my secondaries. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been great to have you. I wanted to have you on the podcast for a while, and I want something that I felt was appropriate. And like I say, once again, define Beacon how you want. Define Second Coming, Savior of BattleTech how you want.
Any of that is even remotely true. You know, and I really mean this. Like, I create a lot of content, whether I talk about news or whether I talk about various things. But I don't create the community. I am a person who puts things out for the community to enjoy. There are people who found their way to BattleTech because of my channel. That's absolutely true. But most people already knew what BattleTech or MechWarrior were before they begin watching my stuff. Again, I'm very grateful for the audience. I'm literally nothing without the audience. But at the same time, you know, like, and you should never forget that. Like, you know, the audience is who you're really here to accommodate. But inevitably speaking, it is the community that has decided to like follow my videos that has made them grow and has helped me grow in terms of my skills at doing this. So I myself am incredibly grateful and indebted to the community just for the fact that people enjoy what I put together for them. It's why I try so hard to put out the right stuff, to do my best to increase the quality and to add to it, because it deserves to be better if the community supports me. But I'm just saying it's quite the opposite. I'm not some savior by any means. I'm just literally a dude who makes stuff that the community happens to enjoy. And I know we're all joking about it, but I just want to make that very clear that you know, I'm eternally grateful to the BattleTech community for giving me the opportunity to entertain and inform them.
Totally. Thanks for being awesome, everyone.
And if you want to listen to more of Red's stuff, you haven't heard of him before, and now you're captivated by this man, and who wouldn't be after that keen observation about water evaporating. His channel will be linked in the show description, as will channels regarding the other people that submitted today. So thank you to all the creators out there that make stuff. Thank you to all the creators out there that took the time to answer the call for Proclamations, even though it seemed a little bit crazy to many of you, I know. I'm really happy to just share the positive vibes of BattleTech on this December 27th.
It's actually December 12th.
I'm happy that you can listen to this on December 27th. Yay! But seriously, Red, thank you so much for being here, and yeah, for just always having those fun vibes, for being playful, being jovial, and taking cracks at, like, that's one thing that I love about BattleTech is taking cracks at other factions. And as you say, it's not real life, it's a game, and I like how we can collectively all laugh at our favorites sometimes.
Oh, I would never laugh at the Draconis Combine. They're pretty amazing in every respect. I'm kidding, of course. I'm not being sincere.
We should do a follow-up episode just dedicated to that.
Oh, just dissing Poorhouse Garita?
Stay awesome out there. Listeners, stay awesome. Creators, keep it up. We're doing great. BattleTech's awesome.
Final word to you, Red.
I would just say to everybody, I hope that your 2024 was a good year. I hope it was a year that has been good to you and people around you, and that I hope 2025 is an even better year. But if you are one of the people who perhaps struggled through 2024, if you had things that were difficult to deal with and whatnot, I hope for those things to improve, and I hope 2025 opens up a new avenue for you so that your situation can improve.
Thank you, Red. And that, my MechWarrior friends, brings us to an end of another deployment of BungleTech and another year. Again, a big thank you to you for your viewership and support. If you want to hear more from any of those that shared creator proclamations with us today, including the big man, BigRed, you can find the link to all their content in the show description. Until next time, MechWarriors, good fortunes on the battlefield. Selah.
All podcast objectives complete. Podcast shutdown sequence initiated.